There's a world champion in all of us, if only we could find it. Perhaps this is overly hyperbolic. We can't all be the best in the world. But for Muhammed Ozbek, there really was a world champion within him. All he had to do was to find it.
Benim adım Muhammed Ozbek ve beni uluslararası bu isim son birkaç yarışma çok kötü yarışıyor. Çünkü ben bir dönem gerçekten bırakmak istedim. Hatta aileme söyledim. Ben dedim gitmeyeceğim. Bir silkelenmem ve kendimi toplamam gerekiyordu.
This is the remarkable story of how Muhammed Ozbek did the impossible. And against all odds, beat the biggest names and strongest countries in weightlifting.
This is obviously the back room where everybody's going to be warming up. Interestingly, they have all of these pictures on the wall.
Now, I distinctly remember my first time really taking notice of Muhammed Ozbek. It was at the 2022 European Championships in Tirana, Albania, and it was my first ever official competition as a commentator.
Place to be good. Cameras are all in. In fact, I can take you on a little swing around.
To say that this guy looked good was an understatement. As a 73 kilo weightlifter, he snatched 149 kilos, clean and jerked 181 kilos for the win before taking, and I remember this moment so clearly, a 9 kilo jump to 190 kilos.
Excellent clean.
It really is amazing.
Wow.
Oh my word. And you know what? He was good for more if he needed it.
What an amazing finish to this session.
Now, to understand how legendary this move to find the world champion within him was, we need to understand a bit more about Ozbek's weightlifting journey. Back in 2018, at the young age of 17, Muhammed Ozbek became the European youth champion at 69 kilos. That year, he also went on to win the Youth Olympic Games. So, all things considered, this was an incredible start to a weightlifting career. All markers perhaps pointed towards a world champion in the making. But the truth is that Ozbek's performances weren't always so good. And when you compared him to what they were hitting outside of the confines of the European Championships into the Asian Championships, it just wasn't even close. A bomb out at the Olympic Games, 8th at the 2022 World Championships just months after his European win, 7th at the European Championships in 2023, demolished at what should have been his competition. When faced with the best in Asia and Pan America, Ozbek's short-held European dominance really started to waver. Rahma Erhan Abdullah, Shujiyong, Rizki Dinyensia, Wirafon Wachuma, these absolute Goliaths, they were just leaving him in the dust.
Olimpiyatlarda madalyaya çok yakınım. Sadece 1-2 kilo kadar. Döndükten sonra bayağı inancımı kaybettim. Tekrar hazırlanmak istemedim. Tekrar olimpiyatlara katılmak istemedim. Çünkü 2 kez katılmıştım ve ikisinde de iyi bir derece elde edemedim. Bunu yaşatamadığım için de kendime inanılmaz yük ettim bu durumu. Sonra bunun böyle devam etmeyeceğini, bir şeylerin bir yerde düzelmesi gerektiğini anladım.
Fast forward now to the 2025 World Championships, and Muhammed Ozbek was suddenly entered to compete in a new weight class. Not only was it a new body weight for him, but it was a new category for the sport, the 65 kilo weight category. Now remember, Ozbek was normally a 73 kilo weightlifter who walked around weighing at least 75 kilos. And so he would need to cut over 10 kilos in body weight, 22 pounds, 15% of his body weight in order to make weight and be eligible to compete. Weight cuts in weightlifting are a bit different to most other sports. You see, weightlifting has a 2-hour weigh-in window, unlike in, say, the UFC or boxing, where fighters weigh in the day before the contest and have, 36 hours to rehydrate, refuel, and put their weight back on. And what that means is that fighters can lose pretty insane amounts of weight, and to a dangerous degree. They can not only reduce their calories and actually burn fat, but also severely dehydrate their way to a massively lower body weight and still have time to regain their weight and recover physically from the cut. Fighters might lose 7 kilos literally just the day before the fight, only to rehydrate right after. If they were to fight straight after weighing in, like in weightlifting, then their performances would be severely impacted. Ozbek, therefore, couldn't just cut all the weight the day of the competition, because his performance would massively suffer. And so he deployed a mixture of cutting styles, taking his weight cut way more like a fighter would compared to anything I've ever seen from a weightlifter.
So I've just spoken to Ozbek, and he's wearing this sort of bin liner long sleeve jumper, which you might see in like a pre-boxing fight to cut weight. I think he's weighing around sort of 68 kilos now to get down to 65. So yeah, that could be interesting on the day of weigh-in to see how he gets on with that.
You don't ever really see these sorts of things at weightlifting competitions. After the session, he told us he was weighing around 68 kilos by that point, but that was with dehydration. Down 7 kilos, but 3 kilos still to go. But that wasn't his only challenge. A new body weight meant new competitors too. Hampton Morris, the multiple-time world record holder from the USA, known for his sensational clean and jerking abilities. Park Myung-jin, the reigning world champion at 61 from North Korea, who, since his return to the sport, had won 4 out of 6 international competitions. Eko Yuli Irawan, the 4-time Olympic medalist, world champion and world record holder from Indonesia, who's been internationally competitive since 2008. Francisco Mosquera, a 2-time world champion from Colombia, a man whose fight and passion is rivaled by few on the international scene. And I don't imagine any of these weightlifters were really looking at Muhammed Ozbek, the 2022 European champion at 73, with much interest or fear. And why would they? I mean, he'd bombed out of his last competition, the European Championships, 6 months earlier.
Kötü yarıştım. Bunu biliyorum. Hocalarım ne kadar da hani okey sıkıntı yok. Sen iyi bir sporcusun vesaire deseler de hayır, ben gayet kötü yarıştığımı biliyorum. Aklımda hep şu geçti, yani benim bir yerde artık kendimi toplamam gerekiyor. Çünkü bugün aktif olarak yaptığım benim bir ismim var dedim kendime. Benim adım Muhammed Ozbek ve beni uluslararası arenalarda tanıyorlar insanlar ve bu isim son birkaç yarışma çok kötü yarışıyor. Bir silkelenmem ve kendimi toplamam gerekiyordu. Üste doğru emin adımlarla yürüyeceğim çünkü artık düşmem gereken yeri fazlasıyla gördüm. Bu saatten sonra sadece ivme yukarıya doğru hareket edecek. Hem boyumdan hem de fiziğimden dolayı aslında bu sikletin benim için daha iyi olduğunu, bu siklette daha böyle atik, daha hızlı, daha çevik.
At this point, I didn't know what to make of Ozbek's crazy move down to 65 kilos. Ozbek and the rest of Team Turkiye came in for their heavy day. And you can literally see me during this session as I'm talking to the camera in between lifts, as it dawns on me. Muhammed Ozbek is probably going to become world champion. There was resistance to that train of thought because he hadn't really ever been in the conversation before then.
Like, there's definitely a world where Muhammed Ozbek drops down to 65 all the way from 73 and becomes a world champion.
The more I saw him move, the more it all began to connect in my mind. A 145 kilo snatch and then a 170 kilo clean and jerk. 315 kilo total. I mean, that snatch alone was just so far beyond what the others were realistically going to hit. It gave him a buffer when going into the clean and jerk, the lift which would suffer considerably more from the weight cut. A big snatch, that was the only way he was going to be able to do it. The idea of a gold medal from Ozbek was only just beginning to compute as a possibility. But when, a couple of days later, I think the day before the competition, he told us to make sure we were ready for the competition because he was going to set a world record. I mean, that was more than a few steps too far. It just didn't seem feasible, surely. The day of the competition was exhilarating. I mean, any competition with that many world record holders and world champions in it is always a step up from the rest. I've had, for many years, a real soft spot for Ozbek. Ever since that 190 back in 2022, it feels like I've narrated his international career. Through his ups and downs, this idea of him, the underdog, massive underdog, showing up and laying it on the best in the world, it was honestly so exciting.
Welcome to the 2025 IWF World Weightlifting Championships in Førde, Norway. This is the men's 65 kilo Group A session.
Also, where previously during the lineup prior to the competition, Ozbek had always been the shortest in the field, he finally fit in. He might have even still been a little bit shorter, but he'd found it, at last it seemed. His weight class, his competitors. And not to sound too cliche, but his destiny. I remember the early snatch battle between some of the big names. Hampton Morris and Francisco Mosquera were a bit shaky early on, which made the whole thing more nerve-wracking. By the time the four-time Olympic medalist Eko Yuli Irawan had come out and Miss made, I think everybody watching was on the edge of their seats. I think with Mosquera and Eko having gone 1 for 3, it was then Hampton and Park, two monster clean and jerkers who still had attempts remaining. Between the two of them, they took 3 attempts at 139 kilos. And the thing is, North Korea are the best team in the world, and Hampton Morris had made 140 kilos at a national meet just weeks prior, so it felt possible. And I distinctly remember Park's final lift. It was such a strong pull and a fast and snappy turnover, and the guy made it. I mean, he literally caught it and he started standing up with it. It was a bloodbath. The pack of world champions and world record holders had all gone 1 for 3. Wrapped up in a battle amongst themselves, they'd all pushed beyond their capabilities for the day. And with them now done for the first part of the competition, we were still all waiting for one man. One man hadn't even entered the fray yet, and that man was the 2022 73 kilo European champion, Muhammed Ozbek.
Bu tarz dersler çıkardım. Artık yapman gereken şeyi biliyorsun ve son raddedeysen yapman gerekir. Artık korkmana, çekinmene, stres yapmana veya heyecan yapmana gerek yok çünkü sen yıllardır zaten bu podyumlarda yarışan bir isimsin. Dersten ziyade hepsi birer altın değerinde tecrübe. Bu tecrübeleri şimdi ben kullanıp artık bir de anlamadıysam 2 de anladım. 3. seferde ben altın madalyayı boynuma takıp ülkeme getireceğim.
There are a few moments in weightlifting. Normally, maybe a small handful at each World Championships if you're lucky, when you realise someone is in a different league. And I guess this was one of those moments. 140 kilos became 143 kilos, and before you knew it, 145 kilos, the same weight we'd seen from him 3 days earlier in the training hall, was overhead. If anything, it looked like he could have made a 4th attempt. And I remember after that lift, he looked up as if to say, "Thank you for this. All this work, all this belief, it's happening." It was as though this crazy, ridiculous idea of cutting 15% of his body weight, 75 kilos down to 65 kilos, was paying off, and he sort of couldn't believe it. A 10 kilo lead over North Korea, 12 kilos over the USA, 15 kilos over Colombia. Now, I wasn't there in the back room, but I've been in enough back rooms to know that this is likely where everything changed for a lot of the top teams, athletes and coaches. They were all big clean and jerkers, but I assumed they had all expected to be out near the front after the snatch. And so with such a big gap between them and Muhammed Ozbek, the numbers they would need to hit suddenly became absurd. Things can very quickly get quite stressful when something like this happens in the back room. Conversations like, "Okay, I know we were going to open at this kind of weight, but we need to be more aggressive, and we might need to push to a new record if we want the gold," start to take place. The coach gets worried, the athlete feels it and takes that stress on too. I think it's like what Mike Tyson said. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Ozbek just punched them in the face. And after Ozbek's easy opener with 173 kilos, the others would already all need world records. North Korea needed 184 kilos, Hampton Morris needed 186, and that was all before Ozbek's 2nd and 3rd attempts. And it didn't seem like it was going to be possible for anyone until Park Myung-jin made his opener. He demolished 175 kilos. But before even Hampton could show us what he was playing with, Ozbek played the smartest move. He came out again for his 2nd attempt. And this would not only further his lead, it would put more pressure on the others. It was after that 2nd clean and jerk that it fully dawned on me. It just wouldn't be possible for them. It was clear. Ozbek was going to do it. The underperforming 2022 European champion was going to beat the strongest nations in the world and become a world champion. So Muhammed Ozbek's final attempt at 179 kilos was simply masterful. And what he'd said to us a few days earlier did actually come true. He would set a world record in the total. There was no way at this point anyone was going to touch him after he'd made that lift, and he knew it. It was utter perfection. It's a funny one when somebody knows they've won, even when the competition is still going on. His face said it all. His expression was as though he'd just pulled off a crazy joke, a crazy idea, something that surely wouldn't work, but it did. And though his rise onto the international scene was powerful as a younger lifter, his performances had gradually fallen out of medal contention. Not only had he lost his foothold within Europe, but the best in Asia had run away with the 73 kilo category. And so Muhammed Ozbek did the truly unbelievable. He cut 10 kilos, 22 pounds, 15% of his body weight. He found his true category, his true destiny. There's a world champion in all of us, and Muhammed Ozbek found it. Is there one in you? Subscribe for more.
Your ear, so I be sublime. It's enjoyable to know you in concubines. Take off your coats, ladies act like gems. Sit down, Indian styles, you recite these hymns.